Welcome to Behind the Scenes, the podcast where we delve into the diverse perspectives of the brilliant minds at Entura, one of the world's most experienced power and water consulting firms. This podcast comes to you today from Nipaluna, Hobart, the traditional country of the Moina people of the Southeast Nation. We acknowledge the Tasmanian Aboriginal people and their ongoing connection to culture and country, and the traditional owners of other lands people are joining from today. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people listening today. Join us as we explore the stories of talented individuals shaping a sustainable future, discover who they are, uncover the intricacies of their role, and explore what drives their passion. Get ready for an insider's view into the heartbeat of Entura and the journey toward a more sustainable tomorrow. My guest today is Tim Griggs. Tim is a principal civil engineer within our hydropower team. Tim describes himself as a facilitator, a problem solver, and a storyteller. He has built and uses these skills to bring projects to life, from concept to operation, and gets a real sense of satisfaction and pride from his involvement in long-term, complex projects. We talk projects, travel, family, as well as the impacts of climate change and the role hydropower is playing in the renewable energy transition across Australia. Tim, welcome.
Thanks, Mark. Nice to be here.
First question's always the same. Who are you?
Who am I? That's a good question. I guess somewhat defined by what I do, and as you said, kind of principal civil engineer, also do a design manager role. But I guess in some ways I see myself as, I guess, three things mainly: facilitator, kind of problem solver, and storyteller. I guess from a facilitation point of view, it's kind of like just trying to deliver on particular tasks or things. In some ways, I kind of look at it as like a pegboard with different size holes in it, and I'm trying to get these pegs through those holes. And sometimes they slip in pretty easily, and sometimes they need a bit of a push, and sometimes they need a bit of a tap to get through there. And I guess engineering is really about solving problems, giving people kind of answers and solutions. And so I do get a lot of, I guess, joy out of just being able to provide answers to people's problems. And I mean, one of the roles in terms of design management, in terms of telling the story about, I guess, breaking things down, making things a bit more simple. You talk to a lot of different stakeholders and you need to be able to talk on their level and make the complicated simple, I suppose. So I guess that's really how I see my role at Entura now.
I love that. Telling stories, solving problems. What a great kind of wrap it up in a nice little bow for engineering. We'll come to that more in a moment. I want to go back to where you grew up and where you went to school and how you came to engineering.
So I grew up in Hobart, so I'm local. I went to Trina High School, Hobart College, University of Tasmania. At high school, I guess I was interested or good at maths and science type subjects, but I was also quite good at English and didn't really know what I was going to do. Actually, in year 10, I did work experience more in journalism, so I thought that was kind of something that might be a career. But then in college, I kind of really just picked the subjects that I picked. It kind of went down that more math science type role. Some other people were looking more at kind of science degree, but I wanted to do something a bit more practical that you could really see things being built, and kind of then went into the more of an engineering, decided that, the Bachelor of Engineering at TasUni was what I wanted to do, enrolled in that and kind of, just went from there, I guess.
And was there a pivotal point in that journey, or a mentor, or maybe some family connections that drew you towards that engineering or guided you in that direction?
Well, I guess I had a neighbour who was an engineer, and I was best friends with his son. We kind of knew each other from probably about the age of 2. We didn't really understand exactly what he was doing, but he is kind of quite hands-on. He could make things. He made us these kind of toy guns to go around and play kind of cowboys and Indians or whatever. And he had done a lot of travel. His son had been born in Japan, and he kind of had this samurai helmet there on the stand to indicate where he'd been. He'd come down here to, I think, work on the Tasman Bridge or something like that when it got knocked down, and it had to be rebuilt.
Again, we'll come to this later on, but it's interesting that the thing that you've clocked with your friend's dad that is connected to engineering is that travel and that working in exotic locations. And I think that's a bit of a through line for your story that, again, we'll come to later on. So starting off at UTAS in the engineering, my understanding is first year is a fairly general education, and then you pick a technical discipline or technical stream partway through that. Is that how you experienced it?
I think that's what it is now. When I started, it was actually a common 2 years. So we did actually get to do, electrical, civil, mechanical, all of those types of things. I was kind of drawn to kind of civil structural engineering because it was actually a bit of a challenge as well. It's kind of more interesting and more something you could see, not looking at kind of imaginary power or things like that didn't really make sense, but actually seeing like buildings or structures or dams or things like that, it kind of was something you could touch and you could feel, and that was what drew me towards civil. So at the end of second year, we did have to make a choice, kind of a specialisation, and I did choose civil engineering.
How were those uni days for you? What was young Tim like at UTAS?
Yeah, no, they were good times. I mean, you kind of had to work hard, but then I guess relax hard as well. And I mean, we had the TasUni Ski Club up at Mount Field. That was quite a good release, going up there and working on. Also did all the working bees in the summertime, building snow fences and fixing up the hut. And it seemed like it was the job of the engineer to keep the hut running because everything would always be breaking down or freezing up during the winter, and trying to fix things up during the summer. So that was quite a good experience, and just all the different people that you meet, the kind of people from different cultures coming in and doing the degrees, and some staying on, some going back home again. So yeah, it's really was a good times.
So there you are, you finished your degree, you've specialised in civil, you've got now a world of opportunities open to you in that civil space. Did you specifically seek out dam engineering, hydropower, Hydro Tasmania? Were there other fields that you're looking at? Were there a range of graduate type positions that you applied for? How did that next piece unfold?
Yeah, I mean, there were a range, because the recruitment process of some of these companies start kind of midway through fourth year, and people kind of are telling you, well, you need to try and get a job by the end of the year. And so I was really more focused on trying to finish my honours project and get through to the end of the year, rather than some Anderson Consulting, some group was asking in May for people to apply. I mean, I did a couple of those in that fourth year, but I was more focused on just getting the course done, and so yeah, come probably January or so, I guess Hydro at the time were a bit slower with getting their kind of recruitment ads out, and it kind of suited my timing a bit better, in that I was ready to apply, and so I applied for Hydro in the kind of the consulting division at the time, which is kind of now turned into Insurer, and really started off in the dams team there in February 1996.
So you specifically went down the consulting path. Was that a deliberate choice?
I don't think it was necessarily a deliberate choice. It was kind of like you apply for a job and you just kind of, well, I don't really mind what I do. I'm happy to work for the local council or do whatever. But it was just, that was the job that I got. And I did spend initial couple of years at in the consulting division, and then had the opportunity to move into the generation division, which is more about operation and maintenance of the power schemes at Hydro. So after 2 years, I did experience and go up and move up to Gary Park, which is up in northwest Tasmania, kind of amongst the Mersey Forth hydropower scheme. Was kind of based up there for a year and a half or so, looking after the assets for the Generation North, as it was called back then, which encompassed Powhatan, Trevally, the West Coast, as well as the Mersey Forth power station. So I did experience that kind of asset owner, operator type role there. But then after that, I did get offered a position, like a more permanent position up there, because it was more just a secondment. But I thought, well, no, I really want to get some more design experience and construction experience. So I thought back in consulting / insurer was the where I could get that. So after that kind of 4 years or so, I kind of moved back down to Hobart and went back in working for insurer in that design type construction type roles.
That's a really great demonstration, isn't it, of the insurer tagline, which is we own, we operate, we consult. And having, as a consultant, having that experience, that pretty deep technical experience in the operation and the ownership of assets, feeds into that consulting work quite nicely and gives you a level of experience and knowledge that it's hard to get elsewhere, yeah?
I mean, I think so. Like the first 2 years, I did do a big variety of stuff in insurer, and kind of did from floodplain mapping and did designs and did inspections and did a whole bunch of different things. But it was only when I got up and started working for the asset owner that I really got to know how things worked and got a better appreciation for what it's like. And as an example, kind of at Powhatan Power Station, there's a like a distributor, which is kind of a spiral that goes around inside the machine, and the water goes through that distributor and into a nozzle, and that fires at the runner, which is like the water wheel that runs everything. And kind of just the perspective of actually going and inspecting that, I think I was probably the only one that would fit, but it was kind of like reducing in size, going around that spiral from kind of 800 mil down to about 400 mil at the nozzle. And so that was kind of quite a eye-opening thing to go and get inside these machines during the outages and see how they all kind of worked.
Yeah, what a great experience. So you've come back to consulting. Have you, at this point, picked a niche or a specialisation? Have you purposely tried to keep your experience broad? What's your kind of direction when you've come back into the consulting world?
Well, I've come back to the dams team, and I mean, I think dam engineering projects, might seem like a niche. They do offer a lot of different aspects in terms of engineering, from hydraulics and civil and structural and earthworks and materials and all these various things that come together. The outlet works have mechanical, electrical aspects as well. So kind of coming back in and then working on first, I guess, dam upgrade projects, because there was a lot of that at the time when I came back, rolling out these kind of revised flood estimates and people around Australia kind of saying, oh, look, our dams aren't up to spec and we need to do upgrades to pass bigger floods and climate change and all the rest of it. Everyone being concerned about that. So there's a lot of work in that area. And then moving on to a number of new dam projects, which while you think, oh, it's just a pile of dirt or a lump of concrete, there's a lot of complexity to that, including like how you divert the river and during construction and all the setup for construction and then all just the kind of trying to integrate all of those different teams together and get everyone to work together and produce a good outcome for the owner.
Going back to the original kind of story that we talked about with your friend and his father, who was an engineer, and that travel component, I know there's been a fair bit of international work in your kind of history and in your background. How did you progress into that international work? What did you learn and how did you enjoy it?
Well, I guess, just having initially the experience in Australia working on 3 quite large dam projects, that really gave me the experience to utilise that in overseas projects. I think, can't really recall the initial one that I've worked on, but a lot of it we worked over in Sarawak in Malaysia. They were going through a big phase of doing hydropower developments over there, so we did some work over there, even though that might have been only on a smaller job and looking at a small hydropower project, but got some valuable experience about some more of the design process there, including value engineering and the like. Then I guess a bit later on, we had the opportunity to work in Uganda, and that was kind of a bit of an interesting role in between. There was I guess what you call engineer, procure, construct, or EPC contract. That was a constructor and a designer working together to build this very large hydropower project, big underground cavern with 600 megawatt machines, and a dam and tunnels and the like. But we were there to try and help facilitate the communication really between the EPC and the owner. And the EPC was Chinese. They're kind of trying to understand all these Western standards and someone really, me and others acting as the middleman to try and, I guess, tell the story and try and just break things down, make it simple and convey what the EPC were trying to do and make sure the owner was happy with that. So that was one of the key things, was really just understanding the international standards and trying to, convey that and translate that to help everyone work together properly.
Yeah, look, that ties in really well to the initial thing you said about storytelling, and that communication piece is a bit of a through line as well, right? So in Sarawak and then with the EPC contractor, how did you approach modifying, changing, augmenting your communication style for those various different, situations and cultures?
We had some training at times to understand how different cultures want to, I guess, be seen and things about not losing face and things like that. But it was really just about breaking it down and making the complicated simple.
From those couple of experiences, what do you think the biggest things you learnt? Were they technical learnings? Were they those stakeholder management communication learnings? Was it a combination?
I think, there's probably a combination, because each project you work on has different things, and I mean, just getting exposed to underground works and tunnelling and things like that, which my background was more in dams. It was, I'm more facilitating and still providing, getting expert input where I need it. You still, I guess, learn by osmosis really, with having to deal with all those types of things. So there's definitely a technical component there of gaining an understanding and learning the language and the lingo, but also, just as important, I suppose, just learning how to communicate and convey the message and understanding how different people tick, I suppose. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier climate change and the impact that has on all dam owners and their assets across the world, but let's focus in on Australia. In recent years, that's become another hot topic. How have you tackled the challenges that we're seeing come out of the new data around climate change and what that's going to mean for asset owners?
Yeah, I guess the main takeout that I get is the extremes, and there's kind of extremes of drought and extremes of floods as well. And so you just need to consider that in the design process and making sure that the assets are resilient. I guess on another side, it's kind of looking at the bigger picture and how we can try and reduce the effects. And obviously there is an energy transition going on, and trying to go from a more coal-based kind of power system to a more renewables-based, and obviously Hydro Tasmania is a kind of a big role there that we can play in that. And there's been a number of recent projects that we've been working on that are looking to help out in terms of that energy transition.
And I understand you've done a lot of work within the Hydro Tasmania portfolio, but there's some other pretty innovative things that are happening in the rest of Australia that you've had some pretty heavy involvement in as well, yeah?
Yeah, so I mean, we've been working up at a pumped hydro project up in Queensland for a number of years now, up at the old Kidston gold mine, and they've quite an interesting project where they've converted an old mine that was kind of had two pits, an upper pit and a lower pit, and they've kind of, Natura did the feasibility study a number of years ago now, and looked at kind of tunnelling and building an underground power station between those two pits. More recently, we've been the owner's engineer on that project, and so I've had the opportunity to go to review a number of the aspects of the design, provide comments from an owner's engineer's perspective, and go up and inspect the work. So that's been quite interesting. It's always, well, it's not our design, it's just good seeing such big projects being implemented. I mean, there's nothing better than just seeing something actually come to life and being built. And I mean, that's the same with all the other projects that I'm being involved in, and you just get such a sense of satisfaction if you, especially if you've actually done the design yourself and gone through that whole process to see it actually being realised and filling up and storing water and generating power and things like that. That's just a great thing to be proud of, I suppose.
Absolutely. And the experience and the learnings that were gained, in that and other projects, you've been able to apply those back into the Hydro Tasmania portfolio and back into Tasmania as well, yeah?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess over the last 5 years or so, we've been working on what originally was called Battery of the Nation, which is about kind of just Tasmania providing some support for this energy transition. And so we've been working on both at Tarraleah on a redeveloped power scheme there, and Sathana on a pumped hydro project up there. And they've both been, part of that whole supporting Tasmania and supporting the mainland. So the learnings that we've had from, in Uganda and Kidston and others, we've been and the dam projects that I've done in the past, we've been able to bring those back and apply them on these Tasmanian-based projects. So that's been, just quite a, full circle really, in terms of starting off here, Australia, overseas, and then all the way coming back to Tasmania and working on some projects in your backyard again is great.
And I hope you don't mind me saying, but you've just clocked over 30 years with Entura and Hydro Tas, so congratulations.
Well, thanks for that, Mark.
What does the next 5 to 10 years look like for you, Tim?
I think it's probably a little bit more of the same, or more of something different. I've always been just looking for the next project, and that's what's really kept me interested. Yes, I've done a number of secondments, and I've kind of gone and worked at not just the Generation North, I've kind of gone up and worked at Hobart Water, and I've gone and worked at Golden Murray Water in kind of that more asset kind of project engineering side of things. But what kind of excites me more is about just working on big projects. And so I guess Hydro Tasmania has some potential big projects coming up, but there's also a lot of other big projects in Australia or overseas on the cards. So just trying to get involved in another big project is really what I would like to do. And so that's what I kind of see myself over the next 5 to 10 years, just trying to take those opportunities as they come up and just work on another big project where you get to see something being built and something make a difference.
Is there a project that stands out in your mind as one that you have a particular passion about?
I think, as I've said before, just being able to see something that you've designed come to life, it really gives you that sense of really achievement, I suppose. So one local project, the Meander Dam up near Deloraine in Tasmania, is one that probably stands out for me. I know Intura were involved in the feasibility study for that. I got involved in the design stage with a design team leader, and then had a role as kind of like a design support or construction support engineer during the construction. So that was kind of probably good 2 years going through that design. It was a D&C project, so it was kind of working hand in hand with a constructor on making sure our design was kind of fit for purpose and met what they wanted as well as what the owner wanted, and then going and making sure it was all done properly on site. So, and then having it store water. It's got also a mini hydro there, produce some power as well, and it's mainly for irrigation. But it's probably a really good example and a project that I'm proud of working on.
And is it the technical complexity of that project that really sticks in your mind, or is it just that end-to-end process, the fact that you got to see it kind of all the way through?
Just the whole process of going through the planning and the construction phase. I've kind of learned so much, kind of starting at effectively a greenfield site and trying to see the road coming down and diverting the river and starting to cleaning up the foundation, starting to build up the dam and setting up all the different construction equipment and seeing how that's all works and how the constructors plan everything. It's just and then just seeing it come out of the ground and then finally storing water is just makes you feel proud that you've made a difference, I suppose.
Okay, so throughout your career, you've done a lot of travel, you've worked a lot of hours, you've been to lots of interesting places. You're also a family man. How have you managed that work-life balance and balancing your work commitments with family life?
I guess it probably has been tough at times on my family, and you do need kind of supportive partner and to allow you to do that kind of travel. In some cases I have tried to bring the family along, so kind of on my second large dam project, it was up in Canberra, and there was the opportunity to actually move everyone up there, and so moved up, kind of wife and kind of one or so year old son. We moved up there, and it was still, I guess, a bit of a trial, trying to kind of work out how everything works in a new environment. But I think we really enjoyed that time together, and actually our second son was born in Canberra as well. So it's kind of just been a matter of just making it work, I suppose. After that, we did kind of move back to Hobart, and have always since then been based in Hobart. And then I've just tried to make the trips relatively short, so it might be just 1 or 2 weeks away at a time. And as the kids have got older, that's become, I guess, a lot easier. So now they're pretty much all self-sufficient, and it's not like it's a great impost going away. So but really just having a supportive family and partner is part of that thing that you've got to have to make it all work, I think.
Yeah, great teamwork, yeah.
Yep.
And of your 3 children, do we have any budding engineers amongst them?
Oh, actually, the middle child, the one that was born in Canberra is kind of the one that looks like, well, he definitely says he wants to be an engineer, and he's again, interested in the maths and science type subjects that I was at school, and I think that's the direction that he wants to go in. The others are kind of still finding out what they want to do, but yeah, definitely the middle child is a future engineer, I think.
Great. And is he kind of looking towards that civil space as well, or is he going to buck the trend and go into electrical maybe?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think he probably hasn't made his mind up yet. Wants to have a look at the different options and see where it goes from there. And I think, similarly, if there's a common first year, that would be I think a good thing to kind of work out which way. Once you've had a bit of a taste of the different types of engineering, you probably be able to make a choice on which one to go into.
Tim, it's been a wonderful conversation. Thank you for coming on the podcast and telling us your stories.
Thanks, it's been great.
Thank you for joining us on this insightful journey behind the scenes at Ensura. We hope you've gained valuable insights into the incredible individuals driving sustainable innovation. If you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations as we continue to explore the people and stories shaping our sustainable future. Connect with us on LinkedIn and Facebook and find out more about the work we do at ensura.com.au. Until next time, this is Mark signing off from Ensura's Behind the Scenes, where sustainability meets inspiration.